Good morning, everyone. I'm Mausi Simona Soke, and I'm very happy to be the one to moderate this inspiring section today. I'm happy to see a lot of fellow youth leader here, and some colleagues as well. So the title of our section today is Youth in Action, Driving Innovation and Technology for Sustainable and Risk-Smart Agriculture. On behalf of PALM, which is the Program for Agriculture and Risk Management, and IFAD, I warmly welcome you all here with me today and those online, because I think some colleagues are also online. We have a very exciting agenda today. We will start by one opening remarks, and then we will follow with two keynote speakers, and then very exciting and inspiring youth panel discussion. After that, we will open for discussion and Q&A. We will take some questions, and then we will have our closing remark. So without further ado, I will give the mic to Anais Petit-Jean. Anais is the digital analyst of PALM, and she also oversees the community of practice named FARMD, which is the Forum for Agricultural Risk Management in Development. And this platform, this community of practice actually gather like more than 1,500 young people, practitioners, and policy makers. So Anais, over to you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, and welcome to everyone. I am very, very excited for this session, who is organized by the Platform for Agricultural Risk Management and our community of practice FARMD. Today, just before we start, I wanted to let you know that there's a simultaneous interpretation today. So I think you need to check the channel 2 for English and channel 3 for French. As I said, I'm very excited. Today we will explore the theme of Youth in Action, driving innovation and technology for sustainable and risk-smart agriculture. As you know, we live in a very interconnected world, and with also climate change that intensify, PALM really think that we need to take the path towards transition. And for that, digital innovations and technology can help to take this transition towards more sustainable and resilient agri-food systems. Why do we want to highlight digital innovations and technology? Mainly because they can help us to break geographical barriers. It connects each other, especially us, the youth. We are very much digitally connected, and it can help us to collaborate globally from one person in one part of the world to another part of the world. We can learn from one another, we can share experiences based on our context, and it connects each other. These digital innovations and technology, not only they helpful to transition towards better and stronger agri-food systems, but it also helps to better manage agricultural risk. Just as an example, real-time and accurate information and access to it can help farmers to better manage their resources, anticipate weather events, and also reduce their exposure to shocks. This is why we wanted to invite you today to talk about this, but also why did we talk about youth in action? Because we think that, and I see a lot of young people here in the room, I'm really happy, we think that youth are actually very well positioned. They hold a unique position to lead this transition. As I said, we are digital natives, so we are very much equipped to harness the potential of these digital technologies and innovations. We have also innovative thinking. We are still young, we are full of ideas, and this is why we really deeply think that youth should have a voice and lead as agents of change to lead the way towards stronger, more sustainable, more resilient agri-food systems. So this is why we all invited you here to create a place for dialogue, for exchange. As Mausi said, we will have a dedicated session at the end for Q&A. So yes, please take all the information that we will share today, think about your questions, and let's have a great dialogue at the end of our panel today. Now, without further ado, I will give it back the phone to Mausi Asa, who is the biodiversity and climate specialist at IFAD and our amazing moderator today. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Ainas, and thanks for this inspiring opening session. Now we have idea on what we are going to discuss here today and the importance of risk management in agriculture, right? So now I will go to our two keynote speakers. One is Birut Ashali. Sorry if I don't pronounce your name very well. Birut is a young leader. He is a social entrepreneur. He is also, sorry, yeah. He's also the founder of Enderase Youth Organization. And they are doing amazing work in Ethiopia, actually, inspiring young people to take lead and to start entrepreneurship, businesses, leading young people on the right way, and empowering young people to take action in Ethiopia. And he's really committed to create the Africa we want for young people. So I'm so happy to have you with us today. And over to you, Birut.
Good morning, everyone. Salam እንዴት ናችሁ? In Amharic. I'm really happy and honored to be part of this engaging session. And also I'm really excited to deliver the first keynote. I thank the organizers, IFAD, Anias, for your kind support and also honor to invite me. Unfortunately, I was not able to join you in person. I really want to say sorry. I would love to join you, but due to some logistic and visa issue, I didn't able to come. So I have a PowerPoint that shares what I've prepared. So if it's possible, I can share that and start my speech. So the role of use in driving innovation and transformation in agri-food system, it's one of the most key things as a young leaders who are here to discuss and also to share. So I really like the idea. This is my organization, Enderase Association, as you see on the logo, and also the World Food Forum. So uses as a catalyst and innovators. As we know, young people are injecting new energy, modern solutions into long-standing agricultural problems, utilizing the best contemporary technology, because young people earlier, our moderator also speaking, young leaders are the one who are deciding the future, who are not just sitting down to the table, but are able to make the change and also to create a new table for new innovation. So I see users as a catalyst for innovators. In three ways we can figure out that. The first one is on market linkage. Different digital tools like mobile apps are help to connect smallholder farmers directly to buyers and also with other businesses that catalysts their business and also excel their productivity. Also, we can see precision farming, in which we use different kinds of AI drones, sensor technologies, and to monitor the crops in order to have a proper result and well resource management. Also, I mentioned here the climate smart solution, in which we create innovative climate resilient agriculture startups that stimulates and protects the planet away. We are developing B2B and matchmaking in our upcoming forum in October 28 here in Addis Ababa, in which we team up with AI and tech for good. So these things that I'm sharing with the one we are doing it and developing in order to users become a catalyst for innovation and change. I just forget to mention about my short bio. It's just I put it over here. Our moderator explained well. I am a founder and president for Enderase Association. It's a civil society organization which is founded in 2021 here in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, which focus on youth empowerment, leadership, and advocacy for sustainable development goals. And also we work on social entrepreneurship and building users ecosystem for a better outreach in innovation and creating impacts. And also I serve as African Youth Forum Executive Director, as you see, delegate for different international and continental platforms like AMREF Health Africa, I was Youth Champion 2025, Youth Connect Africa Summit Ethiopian Ambassador, and so much more. But just to keep that time, let me proceed to the point. So as you see, we are the generation ready to feed the future because the world needs a new innovative approach in which that we battle poverty and hunger. So users are the one, I believe, who feed the future. That's the defining moment where Africa and the world face critical agri-food challenges, climate changes, rapid urbanization, and significant harvest loss. And also on the contradictory, there is a huge untapped potential. What I believe and say in my association and different platforms, there is untapped youth potential that can battle this challenge and make a difference. So the greatest opportunity lies in our young people. As you know, this time is a time in our world history where the generation is mostly, or the community is mostly populated with young people. So there is untapped potential to make and to change the challenge and scenario. So my story, I tried to mention earlier, this is our organization, Enderase Association, enlightening the young people mind, then empowering their hand for impact, then exposing their potential in their community and the global arena. So we began as a small initiative driven by the powerful belief that young people deserve a voice and role in shaping the development and the policy systems around. While I start the Association legal process, I just finished my grade 12 high school. And then after 1 year battle of securing the license and making the brand able to start it like that. So we just started small, but scaling fast. Our impact today, empowering thousands of young leaders in innovation, entrepreneurship, in climate and agri-food systems. Also, as you see here on the picture, one of our programs on leadership. So when users are trusted and resourced, they do not wait for a change. They do not wait for a change. We have seen, and I can be a testimony for this, in the past times. So we also support community agri-tech projects with practical skills and trainings. As you see here, we offer B2B matchmaking for different innovators that comes across not only in Addis Ababa, but across Ethiopia. Here is one of our program in past times in which we host agri-tech and also fintech developers to showcase their product and also to connect with other markets. So what's the critical barriers to users? What's the critical barriers to users in agri-food transformation? Because there are different challenges, especially a person from Ethiopia and Africa. I can demonstrate a lot of challenges, but just to mention it a little, there is a limited access to capital and land. As you know, access to capital, access to land is very limited. So young entrepreneurs struggle to secure their startup finance, collateral-free loans, and also secure land trade needed for large-scale operation. This is one of the most challenging issue in which innovators that have ideas to transform their community and society are in lack of this, and also gaps in business mentorship. One of the things at Enderase Association we do is mentor and mentee, in which we connect mentors with mentees so that young innovators, leaders are able to be coached and see what's next, because they are full of energy, full of determination, but lack of technical mentorship, also knowledge in business. Also, weak policy environment. We can see weak policy environment. Policies often fail to prioritize or create specific frameworks for meaningful use, inclusion, and national agri-food strategy. That's why we developed the African Youth Forum, which is annual Pan-African Youth Leaders gathering here at Addis Ababa, United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, in which we discuss about what's going to be the policy, how the users can be engaged, and what are the practical things in which users inclusion in national agri-food system in continental policies. Also, weak policy environment, I mentioned limited market linkage, innovators often visibility and connection to reliable supply chains, distribution, and networks also. So what we can do, because most of time, we know the problem is there. We know and we are able or full of the information over there. But practically what we can do, this is the thing I want to emphasize. So if we are serious in transforming agri-food systems, and youth empowerment must move from side discussion to practical policy frameworks. That's where we are currently focusing and working on. Users have to advocate for policy. Users have to be engaged in transformative policy works. They have not to be invited on a table and to share their comments, but just deep down and to the workshops, different insights in which policies can be customized, transformed, and engaging. I just finished yesterday here in Addis a 2-day workshop on users in agri-food system, which is hosted by the African Union. So I was just nagging all the policy leaders, representatives from African Union and the AGRA Institute for Agriculture here, because users have to be heard and also engaged in policy transformation works. So number one, integrate innovative funds. Establishing a youth-led movement, innovation funds with national agriculture and development programs. Countries can adopt these integrated innovative funds in a way that's appropriate for them. Number two, support incubators and accelerators. We need a lot of incubators, accelerators in Africa, in Europe, in Asia, in Latin America. Unless that, how can be users come together and scale their idea to impact? So fund and empower specialized agri-tech incubators focused on scaling use ideas from pilot project to viable enterprises. Number three, reform education system. We have to reform the education system. We don't have to make it education, not just to pass a grade, not just to mention that we have this number of users graduated or educated. We have to make really a practical reformation in which we connect classrooms directly with agri-food realities, with business skills, with technology applications. That's one of our program, the lead workshop. The lead workshop is not only what we just gather and give a lecture about leadership, policy changes, but we connect with different expertise innovators, our participants, so they can be inspired, engaging, and also try the practical approach. Number four, co-creation of platforms. We need to ensure users are in decision-making table. Why I repeat this many times is most of time we say that users are included, but not really on decision table. Not only to sit on the table, but to make a change on the table, how the table have to be put or shaped. So we need to engage beyond giving them observer, but co-creators of policy. So as a collaboration, collaboration is a key, building bridges.
Beirut,
Sorry.
we will be happy if you can wrap up a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I just left with 3 slides. So collaboration is a key. That's why I try to put such a diagram, institutional support, uses institutions plus opportunities over there in which we make a collaboration and bring scaled impact, use energy, local or global opportunities also. You can see it from slide. So what's the global action? The global call to action. I call upon all global partners, governments, UN agencies, the private sector, civil society to commit on 3 critical actions. The first one, invest and mentor. The second one, exchange and scale. The third one, recognize, then empower. These are the 3 major things I love to call upon to action. Because the future we envision, a use-driven food system, is on our hand. Digital market access, localized solutions, and inclusive policy making will be the results. This is one of our program that I was speaking about. You can check our website, africayouthforum.com, for more information. So at last, this is my last slide. What I can say is trust the seeds of change. We have to trust on the seed so that we can wait, we can expect, and we can eat the fruit that young peoples can drive to impact their community and shape the world that we live. I really want to thank you for the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Beirut. Thanks for this keynote. I pick 2 or 3 things from your presentation, young people as a generation ready to feed the future. And he also mentioned several challenges. And one of the innovation or solution he is proposing is to have a dedicated fund for youth-led innovation, and also to have young people more on the table of policy development and so on. And not only to have young people as observer, but to have them as co-creator of policy. Thank you so much, Beirut. Now we are going to hear from Brenda Gunda. Sorry, I'm not sure if I pronounce your name well. Brenda is IFAD's global lead for ICT4D, which is Information and Communication Technologies for Development. And she's responsible for providing strategic leadership, technical and policy advisory for adopting and integrating digital technologies. Thank you so much for accepting our invitation, and we are happy to have you here. Over to you, Brenda.
Thank you so much, Mahotse. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. That's better. We are in a food organization. I'm sure we have eaten something that has been provided. If not, then we blame FAO for not giving us food. But thank you so much for this time, and also thanks to Pam for allowing me to speak about digital technologies, in particular how we can leverage digital technologies in the face of climate to support agricultural risk management. When we are talking about digital technologies, I think all of us, if we look around the room, there are all some different types of phones, some others smarter than others, but we're all smartphones, right? I think they're less people that are now using feature phones, the one that were button phones that were using then before, that were smarter then, but they're no longer as smart as we thought they are. But when we talk about agriculture risk management, there's something that is very important, that is information. When we all speak about information, yes, now we're talking about data is gold, information is power, but when we put ourselves in the shoes of a smallholder farmer, information for them is actually critical. Because it's not just information that is supporting them to understand when to grow, but what to grow, what seed they're supposed to get, where do they get the seed, what am I going to, so there are so many decisions that they're making with that information. And now we are saying that when we do leverage digital technologies, we are supporting the farmers to have information at our fingertips. It doesn't matter whether they have smartphones or they have button phones. That information has to be at their fingertips, helping them to make reliable decisions. And then when I talk about reliable information, it's not just about reliable information of markets, but they're also making a lot of decisions about the weather. They need to know, is it going to rain? Yes, they can use their own generational knowledge. I know that in Africa, we always laugh about it. They say, when we want to know the weather, we don't go to look at the phone and say, is it going to rain today? How much is the temperature? We go look outside. And then sometimes you even put a hand out and say, it's cold enough, I need to wear a jacket or not. But that's not the decision that the farmer is making when it comes about the weather, is they need to know, is it going to rain? When is it going to rain? Do I plant today? If I plant today, and if the weather changes, my seed that I only have, a little amount of seed that I have, it's the only seed that I have, it means that I have to plant it when the rain is going to be enough, sufficient enough to help it to grow. So those are the decisions they're making. Now, when looking at risk management from the risk perspective, we also have been leveraging digital technologies to support advisor services to smallholder farmers on smartphones. We have seen that in Tanzania, we've seen that in Bangladesh. But the thing that was most prevalent is that this information needs to be localized. It needs to be important for that smallholder farmer in the area that they're going to grow. Because if we give them general weather advisory, yes, it's going to rain in that area, right? That is everybody's information. But I'm planting soya beans. Will that rain be enough for soya beans? Or I'm planting, maize. Is that going to be enough for maize? So there are all these decisions that we need, and that's what digital technologies are helping us. They're helping us to localize this information that is going to smallholder farmers so that they can be able to have information that is important for them. That way they can be able to react and avoid anticipating for information that they don't have. Now, as we look at the transition that has happened from extension, during COVID, we are providing extension services using SMS. We moved to interactive voice recording. But now there's a transition that is happening with the artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is helping us to get closer to providing localized information, but with a new caveat, using natural language. Because with SMSs, yes, we could provide them in their local language, but SMS has a character deficiency. You cannot provide more than 256 characters on an SMS. So meaning that the rest of the information on that SMS has to be limited. But with artificial intelligence, utilizing smarter phones, but also even utilizing extension workers, we can be able to provide localized information in their natural language, and they can keep on engaging with that application so that they can ask information that is even beyond what is being provided as general information. And we've seen that in Nigeria, where we worked with, we call it a Life Niger Delta project, and it's actually young people enabled project. It's a project that is targeting young people. We piloted what we call Farmer Chat with Digital Green. Some of you have heard about Digital Green. We piloted an AI-based model, Farmer Chat, that has supported them, and we have seen tremendous results. One other result that we've seen also when you're talking about integration of digital technologies is the inclusivity piece. We have seen that women, which is against all knowledge that we see in theoretical documents, are better adopters of digital technologies. This, for people that are here interested in research, maybe you can go and research why, because we need to know from an empirical evidence why is the case. But from a practical evidence that we have seen, I've seen this in Tanzania, I've seen this in Nigeria, women are better adopters of digital technologies. Why? They are usually curious. Now, the challenge with them is that the access to the mobile phone is the caveat. Because most often the house has only one phone, and the head of the house decides to take the phone and he's going to the farm. Yes, after that he's going to go to the bar after that, and the woman is waiting for the same phone. So, but when they have access to the phone, they are able to adopt better agriculture knowledge than men. But that I leave it to the researchers in this room to find out why and tell us why is the case. But on the other side, I also want to talk about the caveat of agricultural risk management is that for us to implement all these technologies I'm talking about, we need to have the right environment, the right enabling environment. From the policy perspective, I think the last speaker talked about this, that the policy perspective is very important, that governments have to align the resources to provide this type of services to smallholder farmers, from connectivity, from infrastructure, from capacity building, to support even young people to be able to adopt this. Lastly, I want to bring about, as we're talking about youth a lot today, is that youth are not just because they're curious about technology. The future belongs to them, right? I'm a youth also, I think so. But the future belongs to the young people, because when you talk about agriculture, most of the farmers that were there, that were now growing, are getting older. And the young people are now coming in as farmers, but they're not interested to just do the conventional farming. They want to use their smartphones. They want to use WhatsApp. They want to connect with their fellow farmers through WhatsApp. And we need to ensure that the enabling environment is prime for them to be able to be interested in agriculture. That includes infrastructure, that includes investment, that includes capital, access to capital. That also includes access to better markets so that they can be able to negotiate better markets. So the youth are really bringing the energy that is needed in the agriculture sector. And those are the ones that are going to be very important to support mitigating agricultural risk in the face of climate, but they're also going to be the ones that are going to create the future that we need. So I hope that, when we're talking about the panel, young people that have been in this, we can learn more in terms of how can we position digital technology to support better in terms of leveraging digital for climate risk mitigation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brenda. Thank you for reminding us how digital technology are helping the rural farmers to have access to early warning system, not only using general data, but also localized, like locally based data to help farmers to better plan, to better make decisions about their planning. I was in Benin last time. Yeah, she presented me as biodiversity and climate. I went to Benin and I was like, but why farmers are not producing? We are in raining season, but the rain did not come. We were waiting for the rain for so much. And then yesterday it rained. So now we are starting planting, and you find some farmers, they were not prepared enough to make use of those raining seasons. So thank you so much, Brenda. And now we are going to have our youth-driven panel discussion. And we will hear voices from young people from the field, and they have different titles. All the panel we are going to have here today, they are all part of the FAMD community of practice. First, we will have Brian Kitingi. I hope I mentioned your name very well. Brian is the Executive Director of Policy Action Initiative. He is leading the research and policy development on agriculture system in Kenya. So we mentioned why it is important to have young people on the policy discussion table. We will hear more from Brian today because he is the actor representing young people on the policy development sector in Kenya. And then we will have Baron Nkoi. Okay. Baron, c'est un journaliste agricole. Il est un réalisateur de documentaires indépendant. Et Baron travaille, il explore les dynamiques économiques, sociales et politiques aussi à travers l'Afrique. Il met l'accent sur la transition agroécologique. Donc, on va aussi entendre parler notre cher journaliste. Aujourd'hui, il a fait beaucoup de documentaires, beaucoup de postcards. Donc, on va attendre un peu de lui aujourd'hui. Et aussi, on aura Akara Wanga. Akara Wanga est un Togolais. Il est mon frère. On est juste à côté. Il est un ingénieur agroéconomique et fondateur de l'association Action pour la protection de l'environnement et conseil agricole. Donc, on a parlé de l'extension au niveau de l'agriculture, on a parlé de digital, genre technologie digitale pour agriculture intelligente. On va entendre un peu parler de ça, de Waka. Et enfin, on a un collègue en ligne, il n'a pas pu nous rejoindre, il s'appelle Kakule Sawasawa. Kakule Sawasawa is a young professional specializing in administration and management information system. Unfortunately, he could not be here with us today, but Anais will mention later on one or two of his code he sent to us today. So, we have our three panelists here. Brian, you can just, if I mention someone, you can just raise your hand so that our audience know who is who actually, right? Brian, okay, Baron, and Akara. Thank you. So my first question will go to Brian. Brian, I know that you have your project in Kenya called Tukunze Shambani. And Brian here with his project, he is using digital sensor to monitor soil moisture, even to assess soil nutrient and so on. So he's doing a great job in Kenya. And then I want to know, how can tools like those digital sensor and other digital technology can enhance sustainability and help us, not only youth people, but also the local farmers in the rural areas to better manage agricultural risks? Thanks.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much, Mahusi, and thank you so much, Pam, for the opportunity to be here. There's something Brenda asked, how many of us have eaten, because we didn't respond. So I'm going to twist the question and ask, how many of us produce the food that is going to be eaten? In short, how many of us are farmers?
Any farmers?
That's nice. That's nice. We deserve a clap for us because we produce the food. Yes. So, as a young smallholder farmer, and especially in Africa and the global south, one key challenge that we face is, there's a lot of focus on the triple planetary crisis, and that's right. But I always say in our agri-food systems, we have a triple crisis of sustainability, of sovereignty, and also productivity. Sustainability, we know the amount of losses that occur. So for example, we know that in Africa, over that $7 billion in losses of agricultural produce every year. In productivity, we know that if 1 acre, you go and take 10 kilograms of seed, and you expect 60 bags ideally, you get around 30 bags of maize. So that's another issue, because it means that as young people, when we go into agriculture as an economic activity, we do not get enough economic gains from it, like for example in other sectors, and that is why agriculture is not attractive to our generation. But also the issue of sovereignty. We know that many young people who do not own land, statistics about land ownership show that only 10% of young people in Africa own land, and in that basis, if you're going to lease land, for example on 1 acre, to go and do your farming, you need to maximize on it. And that is how digital technologies come into play. And there are 5 ways digital technologies can help ensure or enhance sustainability, but also reduce risk, but also enhance productivity. Because at the end of the day, if you are a farmer, you are looking to make profits, you are looking to live a better life, you're looking to impact your community, impact your family, to be able to enjoy, like, for example, the people who go to another economic sector like banking, for example. One is on climate and weather risk management. As has been pointed out, what to grow, when to grow can be determined by digital technologies. But even most importantly to consider is that in Africa, we have been so much focusing on rain-fed agriculture, meaning that we rely on when the rains come so that you can go and do our planting. And the way we structure our planting seasons is also influenced by the rain seasons. And we typically have 2 rain seasons in Africa, influenced by the monsoon winds. We have the long rains and the short rains. However, where digital technologies can come is that they can also help, so that instead of us going to plant before the long rains start in March, we can do planting all year round. In terms of even harvesting, because that is also a major issue that we have. Digital technologies can also help us to detect the amount of waste that happens, to be able to detect, for example, when you go and store the maize somewhere, we are able to detect the period before it starts rotting, and that can also help to reduce waste. Another area which is also very important is on monitoring soil moisture and nutrient levels. This is the project that we are doing, courtesy of Rotary Foundation. And what we did is that, because where we are implementing the projects is in Githurai, near River Gadareni, where it is an area that has been degraded a lot because it is an urban informal settlement. So what we did is that we noticed that we do not know the amount of fertilizers that we are going to use, but also we noticed that whenever we decided to use pesticides, it would make, to deal with aphids especially and armyworms, which were affecting our vegetables, it would mean that we would suffer losses completely because the level of acidity there is so high. So that is how we were able to work with some students from JKUAT who have been developing this technology, and then we install sensors to be able to detect that. And that can be done across the board, because we know the issue that we have in Githurai in Kenya. It's not just in Kenya itself, it's across the world, whereby because of years and years of us using pesticides, using fertilizers without control, we have issues of high soil acidity, and that is where digital sensors can also help. And they can also help in terms of water management. I know there's been a lot of focus into moving to solar-powered irrigation, but imagine if we tie that drip irrigation to mobile apps so that you can be able to monitor the amount of moisture that is in the soil. You are able to detect that, and you can be able to plan sufficiently so that you don't either overuse the amount of water, but also you do not reach to a level where you oversaturate the soil. One key area that I have to say is that in as much as we focus on the agricultural production itself, we also have to look at markets. As I said, the main goal of a farmer is to make money and to live a better life. You don't do just farming just for the sake of, because it's a leisure activity, like going somewhere for a tour around Rome, for example, to the Colosseum and go back. No, you do it to improve, to live a better life, to improve your living standards. And access to market is a very major factor that we have to look at it, and that's where digital technologies can help. Imagine if we had apps that can be able to detect the real-time market price, like the way you do for stock exchanges. Like on my phone, I can be able to detect like what's the stock in our Nairobi Stock Exchange, what amount the stock is trading. Imagine if we had that for market prices, so that we know the amount of maize per bag, we know the amount of beans, we know the amount of green grams, and that can help farmers so that they do not get conned after the harvesting stage. Because we have this period whereby you've already harvested, but then when the middlemen come to buy the produce, you do not know the prices that are selling in the market at the moment. But if we had digital technologies, they can be able to inform you that, and you can be able to plan sufficiently, and you can be able to get the right price for the produce that you have. Also on financial inclusion, that is a big thing, access to microfinance. We know one of the biggest challenges facing young smallholder farmers is access to finance and capital. But these days, if you are able to borrow money on take a loan through a mobile application, it can be done the same for microfinance, especially those targeted to farmers. Another thing is on blockchain and supply, and we talked about AI a little bit, and this is where we need to explore so that you can be able to put the reality of farm to fork into practice. And that is where we can have digital technologies that can help a farmer trace. For example, if I produce my tomatoes, I can be able to trace them until they reach to the end user. The lastly I have to mention is about mobile learning and access. And we know that access to information is power. Whoever has information controls the world, we know that. But thanks to the internet, we've had an easy access to information. And we can leverage on this so that you can be able to even give information to farmers based on USSD code. It doesn't mean that you also have to use smartphone apps, because we know smartphone penetration in Africa and the global south is a little bit lower, but you can always give alerts in the form of USSD code, and this information can help farmers to be able to learn better about how do they do more precision farming and farming that is sustainable, but they can also be able to adapt to the changing environment that is happening. I'll end by saying this. We can all be farmers, but we have to adapt or we die. And the only way we can adapt to the changing conditions we have in the world today is we have to incorporate digital technologies, not just as in the form of the new technologies of AI, smartphones, apps, but also in terms of USSD code, in terms of text messages, things that are going to help make farming simpler, but also more profitable so that you can live lives in dignity. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Brian, for this inspiring ways. He said 5 before when he started, but I think he went up to 7. But thank you so much. Thank you so much for reminding us about all the 5. I don't know if someone, I hope you took note, and I will ask you guys later on what are those ways he mentioned. And je veux rappeler, je vais aller vers Baron, mais j'aimerais bien rappeler que vous avez 6 minutes pour votre présentation parce qu'il a dépassé un peu les 6 minutes. Maintenant, je vais adresser ma question à Baron. Baron, je sais que vous êtes journaliste et à travers vos documentaires, vos podcasts, vous avez vraiment montrer l'importance de la femme et de l'homme agriculteur qui nourrissent nos continents. Et vous avez aussi vous parlez beaucoup de l'information inclusive. Voilà. Maintenant, moi, j'aimerais vous demander, à travers vos parcours, quels vous semblent être les plus grands obstacles à un accès ou une adoption inclusive des outils numériques? Merci.
Ok, merci pour la parole. L'un des avantages d'être journaliste, c'est voyager et découvrir le milieu, mais aussi les gens. Et en tant que journaliste agricole, je rencontre des jeunes producteurs qui rencontrent beaucoup de difficultés, des obstacles en termes d'accès à la technologie et à l'information. Vous allez voir, par exemple, je vis en République démocratique du Congo, qui est un grand pays et qui est un pays continental. Donc, vous pouvez partir d'un point A à un point B par avion pendant 4 heures du temps. Et pour certaines personnes qui doivent voyager, par exemple, par véhicule, ils peuvent faire 1 mois de voyage. Du coup, il y a ce qu'on appelle d'abord l'un des obstacles que je constate avec des jeunes producteurs agricoles, c'est l'accès à l'infrastructure, qui est énorme. Il n'y a pas longtemps, j'étais quelque part où j'ai rencontré quelqu'un qui a 40 ans et qui n'a jamais eu accès à l'Internet. C'est un producteur, il produit des ananas. Et je lui demandais pourquoi tu n'arrives pas à vendre sur Facebook. Il m'a dit, Facebook c'est quoi? Ok. Alors, parmi ces infrastructures, c'est accès à l'Internet, par exemple, au smartphone. Il n'y a même pas de réseau dans certains coins en Afrique. Ici, je ne vais pas généraliser l'Afrique parce que dans certains pays en Afrique où j'ai visité, par exemple le Kenya, au Rwanda, ils sont vraiment en avance en termes d'agriculture et production, même aujourd'hui, pas de solar power banking, mais pour certains jeunes producteurs dans le pays francophone particulièrement, c'est un rêve, c'est la nuit et le jour pour eux. L'un des autres obstacles pour certains producteurs agricoles jeunes à l'accès à l'innovation et technologie, c'est également une question de formation et d'information. Donc, ils ne sont pas formés parce que déjà ils parlent des langues locales. Au Congo, on parle lingala à l'ouest et swahili à l'est. Ils ne connaissent pas l'anglais ni le français. Et pourtant, la plupart des formations qui sont créées, qui existent aujourd'hui sur l'agriculture, c'est soit en anglais, soit en français ou en spanish. Du coup, ça pose problème. Vous trouvez des gens, quand vous avez des documentations ou des podcasts qui ont été produits par certaines plateformes pour leur donner comment apprendre à comment faire, ils ne comprennent rien. Et ça, c'est vraiment l'un des obstacles que les producteurs rencontrent. Il y a un autre, c'est une question d'inégalité sociale, par exemple, dans les zones rurales. Bien sûr, quand je parle de la technologie, c'est dans les villes où il y a accès à la technologie. Mais lorsque vous allez, par exemple, dans les zones rurales, ils n'ont même pas d'électricité. Et quand il n'y a pas d'électricité, donc il n'y a pas d'énergie pour, charger les outils technologiques comme les smartphones ou comme les laptops. Et tout ça, ce sont les problèmes que les jeunes journalistes et les jeunes producteurs agricoles sont en train de rencontrer en Afrique. Et ça pose un problème. Alors, qu'est-ce qu'aujourd'hui je pourrais peut-être proposer avant que je termine mon speech? C'est juste effectivement tenir compte, lorsque nous créons des informations pour l'agriculture en Afrique, tenir aussi compte de certains pays qui aujourd'hui, ils ont vraiment des difficultés à accéder à l'information. Nous parlons des changements climatiques, nous parlons des weather, du climat, à travers les smartphones, mais pour eux, ils continuent à regarder aujourd'hui le soleil le matin, ils continuent à dire est-ce qu'il va pleuvoir demain. Et pourtant, le changement climatique est là. Et quand on arrive sur terrain, on leur dit écoute, il va pas pleuvoir, la pluie va devenir très rare maintenant. Ils disent non, pourquoi? Nous savons qu'il va pleuvoir. Et c'est une réalité que vous dites que ces gens vivent dans, excuse-moi les termes, mais ils vivent dans le Moyen-Âge. Ce qui affecte, et je suis sûr que tout ça, c'est aussi l'une des causes de cette réalité, c'est la cause politique. La cause politique qui est aussi provoquée par des changements de régime et tout ce qui est la manque aussi de vision de certains leaders politiques et leaders. Mais il y a quand même des jeunes qui se battent sur le terrain. Il y a des leaders jeunes agricoles, producteurs qui sont là tous les jours en train de se mettre debout. Et nous, à notre niveau en tant que journalistes, nous essayons de rapporter les histoires de succès pour montrer que malgré qu'ils vivent dans les néants, comme j'ai dit souvent l'habitude de dire, il y a l'espoir. Et c'est pourquoi les plateformes agriculturables.com, où vous pouvez trouver des podcasts, vous pouvez trouver des rencontres, des histoires qui sont d'être racontées, expliquées par eux-mêmes pour qu'ils puissent avoir la parole au niveau mondial et prendre aussi les informations, par exemple, de l'Éthiopie, du Kenya, du Rwanda, traduire ça dans les langues locales pour qu'ils puissent écouter et voir. Voilà. Donc, nous sommes là en train de travailler sur Agriculturable, qui est une plateforme qu'on a mis juste à peine en ligne, et nous essayons de voir comment est-ce que nous allons raconter les histoires, échanger les informations pour que et les jeunes producteurs qui sont dans les sous-pays, des pays sous-développés, et ceux qui sont dans les pays développés puissent avoir accès mutuellement. Voilà ce que j'avais à dire. Merci.
Merci beaucoup, Baron. Merci beaucoup, Baron. Merci d'avoir rappelé les obstacles, inégalités sociales, manque d'accès à l'infrastructure et manque d'accès aussi à l'information et l'innovation et autres. On va continuer après avec les questions de l'audience. Mais avant qu'on termine avec la discussion, j'aimerais aller vers Waga. Waga, il est un jeune ingénieur et il travaille surtout pour le partage des formations agricoles transfrontalières et à travers une plateforme appelée Marché agricole Afrique. Et je sais que vous mettez en relation les producteurs avec les acheteurs, les consommateurs et autres. Et pouvez-vous nous dire comment cette collaboration transfrontalière et l'échange de connaissances portés par les jeunes producteurs et aussi les acheteurs peuvent contribuer à renforcer la résilience de nos systèmes alimentaires? Merci.
D'accord, merci. Moi aussi.
Et désolé, vous avez suivi.
D'accord. Non, je serai dans le temps. Merci, moi aussi, et bonjour à toute la salle. Dans un premier temps, je remercie le PAM et également la plateforme Femmes dit qui nous donne l'opportunité d'être devant vous aujourd'hui. Donc, par rapport à la question de moi aussi, je pourrais dire que les jeunes que nous sommes, nous constituons un levier essentiel pour la diffusion des pratiques agricoles et les savoirs agricoles, ceci à travers les plateformes, les réseaux sociaux et également les forums. Donc, en exemple, à travers les plateformes, nous arrivons à partager des informations en lien avec la météo. Par exemple, lorsque nous recevons les informations météorologiques des services étatiques, nous essayons de les traduire en des langues locales que nous balançons sur les plateformes, sur les forums, à nos amis, à nos pères jeunes avec qui nous travaillons. Par moment, lorsqu'il y a l'apparition de nouveaux ravageurs, par exemple récemment, les 2 dernières années en Afrique de l'Ouest, nous avons eu l'apparition de la jacide qui attaque beaucoup les cultures maraîchères, notamment le gombo et le chou. Donc, à travers la plateforme numérique, qu'est-ce que nous faisons? Lorsqu'un jeune arrive à détecter une attaque, qu'est-ce qu'il fait? On lui demande de prendre une photo à travers son smartphone qu'il envoie, nous essayons d'analyser et nous lui apportons la solution pour pouvoir lutter contre ce ravageur, par exemple. Nous facilitons également à travers le numérique la mise au marché. Aujourd'hui, M. Briand l'a dit, nous n'avons plus besoin d'aller sur un marché physique, mais à travers l'innovation numérique, nous mettons nos produits sur les plateformes numériques telles que WhatsApp, TikTok, Facebook, où nous avons le marché. Donc, de façon plus pratique, je suis membre de la communauté FAMDI et également à travers cette communauté, nous avons des échanges transfrontaliers où nous arrivons entre jeunes à confronter nos idées. Et cette confrontation nous permet vraiment d'être éclairés, d'enrichir nos savoirs sur tout ce qui est la gestion des risques agricoles, les risques climatiques, le changement climatique, la sécurité alimentaire, etc. Donc, pour finir, je pourrais dire que la collaboration transfrontalière et les échanges pilotés par les jeunes permettent de diffuser les solutions concrètes. Par exemple, à travers la communauté FAMDI, j'ai aidé certains de mes pairs, un Nigérien, à promouvoir la culture du moringa, qui est un excellent fertilisant dans la restauration des sols. Également, je l'ai aidé à travers une vidéo que j'ai conçue à la création d'un étang piscicole. Cela ne s'est pas arrêté là-bas. Avec des pères burundais qui sont toujours membres des praticiens de la communauté FAMDI, nous avons échangé sur les techniques anti-érosives. Par exemple, moi, dans ma communauté, je suis issu d'une communauté de montagne où, pour peut-être freiner l'érosion hydrique ou éolienne, nous utilisons les pierres en guise de cordon pierreux. Donc, il y a un qui me dit qu'il fait partie, il est aussi issu d'une zone de montagne. Donc, à travers une petite vidéo, je l'ai appris comment on peut construire un cordon pierreux pour freiner les effets de l'érosion hydrique ou éolienne. Donc, voilà tant d'avantages que nous, les jeunes, nous pouvons explorer à travers le numérique et les innovations. Merci.
Oui, merci beaucoup, Waga. pour l'intervention. Merci de nous avoir rappelé l'importance d'être dans les plateformes parce que si ces agriculteurs n'étaient pas dans ces plateformes, ils n'auront pas eu ces vents de ces informations et de ces technologies qui se développent dans d'autres pays comme le Togo et autres. Il a parlé de femmes dit, si quelqu'un ici n'est pas encore sur la plateforme de femmes dit, il faut s'inscrire et avoir accès à ces informations formidables qui se font diffuser là-bas. Maintenant, on va commencer notre session de questions-réponses. Je renvoie le micro à l'audience. Si vous avez des questions à nos chers jeunes panélistes, vous pouvez juste lever votre main, on va vous donner le micro et voilà, on a quelques minutes pour prendre 3-4 questions. Merci. Il n'y a pas de questions?
I have a question for you. How you think that you could connect these sensors to internet or some kind of connection that you can have this information from, for example, for the soil sensor in the phone for the farmer? Because I think it's kind of, I work here in Europe, but I know also in Brazil, this is kind of challenging because you need to have Wi-Fi and sometimes some farmers don't have the Wi-Fi. What is your view about it or ideas? I would like to hear about it.
Thank you so much. Can you tell us your name?
My name is Lennon.
Leno.
Yeah.
Okay,
thank you very much.
And we will take a round of questions first, and then we will hand it over to the panelists so that they answer. Yeah. Any other question? Yeah, we have a lady back there. Yes, you.
Hi, my name is Chikondi. I work within the Office of Innovation. My question is for Brian. So I've had personal experience with farmers in Kenya and their struggles when it comes to post-harvest sales and working with brokers. My question is based off of what type of enabling environment and behavior change is needed for the farmers and the brokers to make, I suppose, real-time information when it comes to the sales that are happening for the crops to, I suppose, to enable them to make that work.
Thank you so much. Any other questions?
My name is Orasho Husseini. I study at the American University of Rome. Perhaps this is a question for all of us. If we localize data to fight its asymmetry to help farmers, how is that going to keep agricultural monopolies and oligopolies from using the same AI tools to expand that asymmetry of data?
This is well noted. Any other question? Okay, yes.
Hello, my name is Liv and I'm in the third year of high school in Sweden. And my question is for you, so I can take it in French. Est-ce que vous avez des conseils si on a envie faire la même chose que toi dans le futur? Par exemple, si on voudrait travailler dans le journalistique, est-ce que vous avez des conseils pour que ça soit possible pour des jeunes qui sont intéressés dans ça? C'est tout.
Okay, thank you so much. We will hand it over now to the panelists, and I think, Brian, you have like 2 questions. So, yeah, go for it. Thanks.
Yeah, the good thing is after this, it's lunchtime. So, yeah. So I'm going to start with the question about losses. And I agree, it's a very big challenge that we have. And much of that can be resolved either through government action in terms of creating an enabling policy environment that creates formal channels for that regulate prices, because what we have a challenge is that outside of tea, which is auctioned in Mombasa, all the other crops, the prices are being settled between buyer and the seller. So it's like a free market that we have. And that becomes a challenge because the farmers on the ground do not have information about what prices are going in the market. And the markets are majorly in Nairobi, in Mombasa, the big towns, and the farms are more in the rural areas. So what we need to do is that, and this is where digital technologies can play a key role, is if you can develop USSD code systems that give alerts to farmers on the prices that are being sold in the market, like the way you get for stock exchange. You are told today the stock for Apple is this price, the stock for this is this price, so you are able to make decisions whether to buy or sell. If you can have that for farmers, it gives them more information, and necessarily it shouldn't be even on smartphones because many of them do not have access to smartphones. So if you could have in USSD system, that becomes better. And I think this is also where we have failed also as a society, because we could have even leveraged on community radio, for example, or extension officers to do that, but we haven't done. But the good thing with the internet is it's breaking boundaries that used to be there. So to the question about the sensors, it's quite difficult to move away from, because currently our sensors, we get the information on a laptop. So you connect through an intermediary device for you to be able to get it. As at the moment, I don't know how we can move that to an offline system. Probably the only way it can be moved to an offline system is the information first comes, then it's processed, then from there it can be sent now in offline methods. But at the end of the day, because we want to ensure the farmer has sovereignty over this information, we may have to look into ways whereby we make this whole system become offline. But for now, as it is, it's quite difficult to do it. But also, why don't we even, for example, install Wi-Fi in the rural area so that these farmers can also be able to use it online instead of trying to take them back to the 1800s when everyone is moving to the 2100s. So that's my thought on both questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brian. Thanks for responding. We will give the third questions to Brenda about the how the localization of data symmetric and all those things.
No, thank you. Thank you so much for the question. I think when you're talking about localization, we are trying to address the issues about information asymmetries. Because if you're looking at what Brian was talking about, brokers, and the question that was being asked, what differentiates between a farmer and a broker is that the broker has more information about the price and where the off-taker is. And most often the farmers don't have that information. They're just producing, they're producing in mass, they don't even know. And then you have a broker and brokers are very stringent. I've seen brokers, they're able to get into the depth of farmers that are disconnected from the main roads. So they go in where the produce is. And these brokers, they have information on the price, they know how to negotiate with the farmer. They will tell them a price which is not the actual market price. So when you're talking about localization, is one, we're removing that information asymmetry, trying to level the playing field so that the farmers have information on the pricing, especially on markets. I think that's where we see a lot of information asymmetry. But also, we are looking at democratization of data. So when you're localizing it, you're also democratizing the data so that for agri-techs or fintechs that are working in those communities, they can be able to provide those services at a lower cost for the smallholder farmer. Because when you're looking at translation of AI-based, for example, advisory, the cost before, when you're looking at the initial ChatGPT when it's coming in, the cost was quite higher. But now, because there are more models that are coming in, it is actually reducing the cost of accessing AI-based models. So when we democratize the data, enable that also, when I talked about, in my speech, I talked about enabling environment. Governments play a role to ensure that that data is already available. That way you have removed a lot of cost that is going to the end farmer. So localization is important, democratization is important, but we need also to reduce those information asymmetries that you're talking about. I hope that answered your question.
Thank you so much, Brenda. I think there is one question left from Baron, and we are sorry if anyone has a question, we can have one-to-one discussion later after the section. Thank you.
Ok, rapidement en fait, pour faire ce que j'ai fait, répondre ça hier, la première chose c'est être confortable avec ce que tu fais, aimer et à aimer le milieu rural parce que c'est parfois difficile de vivre là où tu n'es pas habitué de vivre. Mais si tu aimes ça, c'est bon, ça part déjà. Deuxième chose, prendre des initiatives, c'est-à-dire créer une plateforme. Un website aujourd'hui, c'est pas moins $100 l'année. Et apprends, continue à apprendre tous les jours et fais des erreurs. Ne t'arrête pas parce que tu ne connais pas. Apprends sur YouTube des choses, comment modifier les sons, filmer. Ce sont des choses qui s'apprennent aujourd'hui partout. Et commence. Enregistre les gens, édite vos vidéos, audios, publie ça. Tous les jours, répète l'action. Et tous les jours, quand tu filmes, tu édites, tu publies, tu fais des erreurs, tu racontes des gens merveilleux qui t'apprennent à faire mieux et professionnellement. Et au bout d'1 année, c'est au top. Waouh! Et tu deviens meilleur. Voilà.
Merci beaucoup, Baron. Ce que Baron vient de dire et on va clôturer la session.
Ok, mais merci bien. En complément de ce que M. Baron vient de dire, j'aimerais t'amener également à avoir un amour profond pour l'agriculture. Aimer les producteurs, aimer le monde rural, aimer aller vers le producteur, l'écouter et tirer la bonne information, ou bien voir les contraintes auxquelles il est confronté, et à travers ça, tu serais vraiment appelé à faire des réalisations autour de son activité. Merci.
Merci beaucoup, Waga. Maintenant, actually now I will give the mic to Ainas. First of all, I will thank our panelists for this dynamic and interactive section. I can see that we are a little bit over time, so now I will give the mic to Ainas for closing this section. Thank you.
Thank you all very much for staying. I know it's, yeah, the slide before. I know that we kept you around lunchtime, so thank you very much for everyone who stayed. I just wanted to share the one quote that the panelists who did not manage to join us here, he said that the Foundry Forum can offer him concrete opportunities to exchange with people from around the world on good agricultural practices, sharing our local experiences, discovering innovations adapted to our context, and creating useful partnerships to strengthen the resilience and sustainable development of our communities. Thank you very much, Kakule. He is a member of the Foundry Community of Practice, so I really encourage you to bring forward this dialogue, everything that we talked about, to take the lead as young people towards more sustainable and more resilient agri-food system everywhere you can, but also in the Foundry Community of Practice where we have over 1,500 practitioners. Thank you all very much to all the panelists, the participants, and my colleagues here for this session. I wish you all a very good rest of the day.